That's what I like. Snap.
Or never progress.
Snap into a Slim Jim Anderson.
Okay. Dr. Jim. Okay, so Dr. Jim is going to talk about growing a relationship today. Growing a relationship. Dr. Jim.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a holiday is coming up. What holiday is coming up? Oh, dear God in heaven, don't get this wrong.
Mother's Day.
All right, thank God. That was a close one, but we all threw it together. Cool. Well, I have a mother, which is fabulous and wonderful, but I also have a wife, and the wife also has daughters and sons and stuff like that, so she's a mother, right? So it dawned on me, actually, I have a relationship with my wife. Something, I don't always realize, but it is true. Now, as I look over the audience, I believe in the audience there might be a couple of you that are involved in a relationship also, right? Eric, how long have you been involved in a relationship, sir?
Currently, 10 years.
Hot damn.
Yeah.
Jerry, how long have you elected to remain in your current relationship, sir?
25 years.
Congratulations, that is a major accomplishment. Joel, how long have you been in your relationship at this point in time?
Relationship or marriage?
We'll call it marriage, just to simplify between the different ones that you've had.
This November will be 30 years.
Congratulations, that's a major accomplishment. That's very good. Now myself, I'm on the south side of 30. I say that because I can't really quite remember.
I know, I was just trying to think.
It's less than 30, but I'm not quite sure how close we're. But anyway, so I've been involved with the same woman for going on roughly about 3 decades at this point in time. Which brings up an interesting question because, you look at the stats and stuff like that, and they say, I think it's like 50% of all marriages fail, right? But you have to take that with a little grain of salt, because I think that stat includes people getting married for the second time. I think you get married for a second or third time, there's a greater probability that that relationship won't actually, so it gets goofy and stuff like that. But at any rate, not all marriages work out. So I think we can all sort of agree on that one, which is no big deal, but it's sort of an interesting thing. So if you find yourself at some point in time involved in, let's call it, a long-term relationship, what's interesting is that you never really get like a user guide for the relationship. There are no pamphlets that are handed out when you actually are up on the getting married or down the courthouse or however you choose to actually do that. Which is interesting because actually they really should give you a guide, because one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize about marriage is that arguably when you get married, you are signing up for a job. So a marriage or that type of long-term committed relationship actually requires work. I don't think people really realize that when they get married. Wow, this is going to be great, and I love you, and you love me, this is going to be cool. Oh yeah, that's great. But you're actually going to have to work at that relationship in order for it to last for a significant amount of time. Oh my God. So in my particular relationship, it is sort of interesting because you would think, well, what makes a good relationship? What makes a relationship last for a long time? Obviously, if the people are identical or very similar to each other, you would think that it would actually work out pretty well. And I can't actually disagree with that, and potentially that's it. My wife and I, however, are basically polar opposites. Okay? And somehow we've been able to stick together, maybe just because we hate so many other people that we figure, what the hell, we'll hang out together. But so an interesting example of the oppositeness of us, I guess to a certain extent, is problem solving, which unfortunately is something that we all do all the time, right? Yep. So my wife has a unique skill and talent. If you came to her and said, oh my God, tomorrow I have to host a party for 30 people with a nautical theme and I have to have invitations to send out tonight, she could solve that problem. It has a couple characteristics that are ideal for her. It's a one-off problem. You're only doing the party once, right? And short-term need, it's tomorrow, I gotta do something like that. And she could do it all for you. She could crank out the invites, she could do the party planning, she could put the decorations together. Hell, she could probably even bake the cake, if you needed that and stuff like that. Short-term, specific thing has to be solved. Bam, she, arguably in my life, is my go-to person for that. Which of course leaves all the other things in life that have to be solved, which fall into the category of things that require a long-term solution that you will only solve by doing a repetitive action over time. Which, by the way, happens to be my skill set that I bring to the table, right? So if we get ourselves into a debt, okay, the way you pay off a debt is by making incremental payments over time to solve it. she wouldn't even realize she had to pay it off. It's like, what? It's still there. How'd that happen? I'm the one who says, hey, great. Look, we got $100 left over. Let's pay off the debt. We got $50 left over. Let's pay off the debt. So I'm the one who actually solves those ones. I'm also the one who make sure that our kids are doing well in school, which requires you have to go online and check an electronic system that says, did they turn in their homework? Where's their grade at? But that's the kind of thing when you have kids, you have to do that every single day to stay on top of those little buggers, because otherwise they're going to start. My wife doesn't have the ability to do that. Oh my gosh, she can't sign on and check anything to save her life and stuff like that. So what's interesting is actually when you bring those two people together, you actually have a pretty good problem-solving sort of thing. But dear God in heaven, don't ask her to solve my type of problems, and do not ask me to solve her type of problems, because those are completely sort of different things. So it does bring up an interesting point. When you have a relationship, we went back, we talked about the fact that you have to work at it, and so one of the challenges that I have is keeping the relationship going, obviously. That's a little bit of a challenge there. So I have to find new and interesting things for us to do together. Always a challenge. I continue to suggest to my wife that perhaps ballroom dancing is something that we should look into. And, you know, where is our president of our club when I actually need him on this sort of stuff like that? And she has absolutely no interest whatsoever in doing that. So that is a little bit of a drawback. So we haven't really made a lot of progress on that one. But I think I may have actually identified something that we can work on together that should be sort of interesting. The organization that I'm involved in, which is the IEEE, once a year has a robotics competition.
Cool.
And they have a different set of rules every single year, different sort of challenges that the robot has to do. My wife is an engineer, actually an electrical engineer, go figure that. And I told her, hey baby, we need to enter into that robotics contest. And she said, no freaking way, which was good, because I view that as being the start of a yes. Okay, so and so I'm pushing. So I got her the rules. I made her read the rules. She said, okay, great, I read the rules. Now I'm done with that. Great, fabulous. I got her like a little robot starter kit. It's an Arduino kit, for what it's worth, just as something you can program and get it to do stuff. And I've made her do a couple projects on it. So, you know, we haven't quite hooked her yet, but we are so close. And once she grabs it and she runs with it, I mean, I think it's going to be a great success and stuff like that. So in my particular neck of the woods, I think keeping a relationship going is based on working on robots together. Thank you very much, Mrs. Toastmaster.
Yay!